So, you join me in my new favourite spot for filming videos, it seems. But hello and welcome to another video. As you'll have seen from the intro, this morning I spent a bit of time breaking up a concrete slab for the garden project. And then this afternoon, been out, hence the sunburnish. And then I was spending a bit of time putting a bit of a budget together for what the garden's going to cost. And I thought, best grab the camera and share sort of what process I go through to understand how much something's roughly going to cost. Now, this is a budget. A budget can be more, can be less, but it gives you a ballpark figure, something to work towards. And I think something that's achievable, but you can also adapt it to suit, and if you can save in one area or spend a bit more in another area, or even if you've just forgot something. So what I thought I'd do is, I've got my spreadsheet together here, and then I've got the new cameras up, and thought I would share that sort of image so I can talk through each process, and then we can see the budget in relation to the garden project. So just starting, so sort of step one for me for figuring the budget is understanding what exactly you want to achieve. As you'll have seen in the previous garden project video, part one, if you haven't already, go and check it out. I've got a bit of a plan. I know what I want to do. I know sort of what materials I'm going to need, and I know what paving slabs we want. I know sort of roughly the area, the square meterage of what we want to cover with paving slabs. So then that in turn, I know what we want: sub-base, sand, cement. It's a bit harder to work out the sand and cement, so that's a bit where the budget is a bit loose. I know what I need sleeper-wise, and the bricks, hence this wall, we're going to try and reuse them if we can. So the first thing we need to do for the garden project is remove all this sort of muck, mud, soil, gravel, whatever's under there. So taking the wall down, there's no real cost to that because that's my own labour. But taking the muck away, so waste and waste removal is probably going to be quite an expenditure here. I've roughly estimated, I think, and I don't know if I'm right in this, 36 cubic meters of soil, rubble, whatever's in there. So I've contacted a company, they do grab hire, so I will literally take the muck out, dump it on my drive, and they will come with a grab, take it away. Now that is £170 per 17-ton load, so I need to maximise that load. I've budgeted for 2 loads, so if my maths are right, 34 tonne. Hopefully that's enough. But then I'm also thinking I might go for an 8-yard skip at £200. This is for bits and bobs, but also somewhere to store some rubble if I want to reuse it or I just want to get it gone. But that'll be a longer term thing and not taking up too much space, whereas actually transferring the dirt from there to the front, I've got to store it. So for the waste removal, I budgeted £350, quite a simple process. And then skip hire, £200 for an 8-yard skip. I think that's about the going rate, but again, you can search online. There's a lot of companies out there that will show you that. So that basically is waste done. I've budgeted £550. That's roughly what it'll be. It might be a bit more, might be a touch less. It's always worth over budgeting. I like to round things up. So if it comes to say 335, I would round that to 350, and it just puts you a bit more buffer in there. So the next step, or to do the waste removal, I'm going to need a mini digger or a micro digger in my instance. So that'll come in pretty much early days to dig out all that, save the hard work and whatnot. So I've budgeted for a week's hire, 7 days, and I've contacted a company that will deliver it, which delivery is also something to consider because sometimes it doesn't always include that. So delivery were £40 return, and the digger itself was £150 including VAT. Just be wary of VAT because it could easily add 20% if you don't realise it's excluding VAT. So yeah, so for 7 days micro digger hire, I've budgeted £200. It's very cheap, and I know that, and I'm sure I'll get comments because it ranges from £200 to £300 I've seen for a week's hire. This company seems to be a newish company. They're called Ready to Go Hire. They're over on Instagram, and I've contacted them, and they're not doing me any discount that I'm aware of. So I think they're just cheap. I know someone who's used them, so it's a bit of a punt, and hopefully it'll work out, no problem. So yeah, £200 for micro digger. So once we've got rid of everything, all the muck, we'll be ready to go in with probably the sub base, but I'll move on to materials after this. This is under the tab of plant hire. Once the sub base is in, we need to compact that, which I'll use a compactor or whacker plate, which for 7 days hire, £28, so I'll round that up to £30. And that's pretty much simple. You just whiz around, vibrate, and compacts everything perfectly flat. The next thing I've got is a cement mixer. Now, I've managed to scavenge a cement mixer for free. We believe it's faulty, but we believe it's just the button, so hopefully that'll repair. However, if I do need to hire one, so it's worth budgeting it, because then, if anything, it's better if the one I've got works. So I've budgeted £25 for 7 days hire. Might need it longer, might not, but we'll just assess that. But it's all in the budget. So for plant hire, I've got a budget of £300. It's actually £253, but I'll round it up to £350. And yeah, it's not a bad price for plant, and it'll take so much labour out. So it's worth spending that bit of money, I believe anyway, to save the hassle, because there's a hell, as you can see in the images, there's a hell of a lot of muck to get rid of, and I just couldn't physically do it. There's probably going to be 2 of us doing this, so yeah, it's a lot of hard work. So material wise, it's quite hard to work out. Now, I know to lay the paving slabs, we've got, I think it's about 55 square metres, so quite a big area. So I've budgeted for 60 square metres. Now, for going right down to the prep of laying paving slabs, we're going to need to put the sub base in, which then gets compacted. Now, this is not a very expensive product, if you like. I have estimated I need about 5.7 tonnes, I believe. So I've budgeted for 6 tonnes, which is coming in, it's about £20 a tonne, I believe, which is coming in at £120. So simple maths, but yeah, so £120 for that. Building sand, sharp sand, need about 6 tonne of sharp sand, a tonne of normal building sand. So again, there's £140 in there. Cement, 15 bags. I imagine we're going to need much more, but I've budgeted for 15. They're not expensive, they're about £4 a bag, so we can go and get them and see how we are. So that's sort of the building products, if you like. Now, the nice fancy things is where it starts getting expensive, and where you really need to be careful you're not getting stung, or I don't know, that paving slab wise, I've done quite a bit of shopping around. 2 companies I've found are reasonably priced online. It might be cheaper to go locally and speak with them. So from our point of view, as you saw in the last video, we're going for reclaimed oak sleepers around there, and then up here we're going to have reclaimed as well to create the retaining walls. From the measurements I've taken, and this is very expensive in my opinion, I'm going to need 30 2.6 metre long sleepers. They're obviously going to lay on end, so consider the heights of them, and other bits and bobs, how you're going to support them and all that. So 30 reclaimed railway sleepers at 2.6 metres long is coming in at £900. It's a big expense, but I think it's going to be a big feature, and I also believe it's going to be crucial to getting the look that we want, but it's also going to be the retaining wall to hold back the garden as such. So yeah, £900. It's expensive. I'm fortunate that I'm in a position with the YouTube channel and over on Instagram having the followers that companies are willing to work with me, but I don't anticipate much discount, if anything. So yeah, I've budgeted for £900. If there's companies out there that want to work, then that's a bonus, but at the end of the day, I'm not out to make it cheaper. Well, I am, but it's just got to be a bonus. It can't come out of my basic budget as such. Then we move on to the paving slabs. Now, 55 to 60 square metres of paving slabs, and when you're going for sandstone as well, it starts getting very expensive. So I've shopped around, and I think I've got it from maybe £2,400 down to £1,500 for 6 square metres. We're going for the sandstone. We did pick one. I've been given some advice on that not to go for it because the maintenance is high, and to go for another one which is slightly dearer, but if it reduces the maintenance and it looks great, then we'll go with that. So yeah, that's coming in at £1,500. Now, with the sleepers and the paving stones, it's getting expensive. We're at £2,500 just in those two. So yeah, given the size of the garden, it is what it is. There's not much you can do about it, and if you want something, you've kind of got to pay it. So in my opinion, what I try and do is reduce the cost as much as possible, and by that I'm doing it with my own labour, and that gives you sort of the product that you want, but at a price point that you can necessarily afford if you've got the skill. Not that I'm saying I've got the skill, but I've done the research and I'll give it a go. That's the thing for me. With the paving slabs, I've got to consider there's going to be a 10 to 15mm gap. I think it's 15mm gap in between each paving slab. That's going to need grouting. I've budgeted £150. I haven't actually looked into it yet, so it might be more, might be less, so I need to tweak that, but hopefully if we save somewhere else, that can sort of contribute to that. So I budgeted £150. And then also, as you'll have seen previous video, part 1, we're going for decorative gravel there and all around this area, with plants in it and stuff. So taking that into consideration, I budgeted for 2 tons of decorative gravel, which is £250. But that's going to come at the end of the project, so it's for cash, if you like. I try not to make this a businessy type thing, but from a cash flow point of view, it's something you can put to the back of your budget, and that's what I'm doing basically. So that will sort of come out of our wages in maybe 2 months' time. So then we go on to the garden lighting and irrigation system. They're niceties, you don't have to have them, but I want them. So we're going for ground lighting at £250. That includes the lights, the cable, and so on. And then if you do need an electrician, then you're going to have that cost on top, something else to consider. Irrigation system, £250. It's roughly where I'm thinking it's going to be. So yeah, we'll see about that. So just for materials, we're in at just shy of £3,600. It's a lot of money, but if you shop around, you get it to a point where you know you're getting the cheapest product, quality product that is, then it is what it is, and you've just got a budget. And my approach on life in general is, if it's budgeted for, if I'm less than that, then that's a bonus. If I'm more than that, as long as I'm not too much more than that, I can cope with it. So yeah. So the total sort of budget for the garden is £4,400. Yes, it's a lot of money. The last house I did, and I'll put a photo in now. That come in at £900. So this is a lot dearer, However, we've got much more area to cover. We've got a lot more stuff to do. And the previous house was a new build, and I got very pally with the forklift driver on, or the telehandler driver on the estate, to the point where still texting now to see how he is, even though we're not there and he's moved on to another site. But he really helped out getting me everything at cost. I mean, I was getting a ton of sand and limestone for £10. Well, it were about 1.3 tons I was getting, which is just unheard of. And it was all through the groundworks business, and I was just paying them direct, and they were just delivering it. It were brilliant, but I can't do that with this, so I've got to be realistic. And I think that's the key to budgeting, is keep it realistic, maybe over egg things, don't under egg them, and take it from there. Now, the sum of 4,400 is a lot, but how I'm working it is, how I view it is, I've been planning the garden now for probably 2 months. Now, I'm not saying I earn enough to spread this over a 4-month period, but so I'm sort of at the middle point. I'm expecting the garden to maybe take 2 months. I can spread 4 months there of rough expenditure coming out as wages, so save a bit monthly. That contributes to bringing that figure down to something more reasonable, so you don't have to have the lump sum, so you can prioritize things. So what I'm thinking at the moment is, as long as I've got enough money for the plant, the sleepers, and some materials, not everything, some. So I won't be getting the paving slabs yet, and I won't be getting the decorative things, so that's not £2,000 that I don't necessarily need right now. So I'm thinking I've got about £1,500 to £2,000 to spend in the near future, just to get the project going, get the garden in, and then when that gives me some labour time, if you like, where there's no expenditure, to get things working, get the materials used up, get the waste taken away, and then I can look, so to stop, reassess where we're at, and then look to start spending again when we've had more paydays and things like that. And then we'll be probably looking at getting more sand, cement, the paving slabs, and then right at the end, which we might have another payday then, you can then look at getting the decorative aggregates and decorative gravel, and things like that. One thing I've not sort of mentioned is turf, which you might be wondering. So yes, we are having turf from here all the way along the back. I've been fortunate enough that a company called the Grass People have sent me 100 square metres of seed, and seeding is something I wanted to try. I've always done turfing previously, but at £3 a square metre, if you like, it starts adding up. I've got 70 square metres, so we're upwards of £250, £300 there for turfing alone. And when I've already got a bill of 4,400 and I'm doing it myself, I'd like to save where I can. So very kind of them to send over the seed. I'm going to give it a try. It's one of their popular seed. I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called, but a bit more harder wearing. We don't have children yet, but it is in the pipeline, so it'd be nice to have something more hard wearing, but something that looks good and I can look after coming in the future. And then the other thing is plants, but again, what I like to do, get the garden finished, and then I can reassess where we're at with plants, money, and the like. So yeah, bit of a long-winded talking video, but I thought it might be useful. One, for rough figures on what things cost, but also how I am managing the finance side of doing things like this. Now, I try my best. I don't like borrowing money at all, and I find with doing things around the house, it's a fine balance of doing something to invest in the property, which I believe this is, and doing something that's just decorative and won't help increase the value of your property. And I would only borrow money if I thought it was an investment into the house. Now, we're not borrowing money for this at all. if you don't have to, don't do it. And it's just a case of managing that and working out how you can spread that as much as you can. And as I've said, we're probably at a 4-month from initial sort of conception to right to the finishing process. So we've got 4 paydays, and then there's the other thing of we're in a world pandemic. I was supposed to be going to America for 3 weeks. That's been cancelled. I've got most of our money back now, and I'm just waiting for his flights. The flights alone is going to be a big contributor to this, and another reason I've been able and in a position to do this. It's not just something like there's an unlimited amount of money. I do have to manage that and manage sort of life, the house, the bills, and all that sort of thing. So yeah, please don't believe there's unlimited and people sharing it, and they've just got access to loads of money, because I certainly haven't. So yeah, I hope it's helped, and please do ask questions. I've had some really good questions recently on the CCTV side of things, but please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe and help us get to that 1,000 subscriber mark, and go check out the Instagram channel, newbuild_DIY_journey, for more day-to-day stuff, sharing what I'm doing. Really enjoy it, and I really enjoy the support. So yeah, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.